Dan Illman, Mike Beer, taking a look at the feature race at Gulfstream Park on Saturday. It kicks off a pick four sequence, 50 cents the minimum wager. Race number 9 is the Gulfstream Park Turf Sprint. Let's take a look at this field. We're going 5/8 of a mile. Karatari at least has a race off of a long layoff, Mike. He was somewhat disappointing that day. I think the question with Karatari is, at this point in his career, and he's 8 years old, is he a need the lead type? Because if he is, he could be in big trouble.
Yeah, that's the right way to look at him, Dan. I don't think you want to necessarily be too hard on him for that start last month off with a long layoff there. He didn't make the lead. He didn't run terrible, but he did get a little tired in the late stages. He probably needed that race. But you're right. I mean, there is a lot of speed to his inside, and there's a chance that if he doesn't make the lead, he's just not the same horse anymore.
Let's throw up the Timeform US pace projector and see what Mike's talking about, because in this 7-horse field, Timeform US believes there's a chance Karatari could be 5th after the opening quarter mile. And I know Hope in Him is a very fast horse.
Yeah.
But if that's right, that's right, I think, is the speed of this race. He's blazing fast.
Yeah, I kind of look at it the same way. I mean, listen, the 5 he's a fast horse too. So we'll see how it plays out. But the 3, I'm with you. I think there's a real chance that the 3 is a little bit faster with inside position here. And I think he can make the lead in here. I don't really get Heaven Street being part of this pace projector at all. I don't think he's fast enough.
I agree totally. I do think he could work out a good trip in behind the speeds, and he's a horse, the number 1 Heaven Street, that might be just a little bit dirtied up. His last race was over the synthetic at Turfway. I don't think that's his game. They ran him on dirt 2 starts back at Churchill Downs. That's not his best game. You take that race away from him, he got a nice trip to win at Keeneland going 5.5, and I think Louis Saez is going to try to work that same trip out here.
Yeah, he'll come out running. I don't know if he's fast enough to make the lead, but he'll come out running here, probably be aggressive and just try to get in right up in behind the leaders here on the inside. That trip would actually work out well for him. I'm more than anything else, Dan, I'm just concerned that 5 furlongs might not be his best game. I mean, I know he ran pretty well at 5.5, 3 starts back. But more than anything else, he seems like a horse who might want, 6 or even longer to be at his absolute best. I didn't really want to bet him going 5.
5 might not be his best game. Gulfstream Park might not be the best track for the 2 Coppola. This horse blossomed when he got away from Gulfstream Park in 2023. He put up that big figure at Churchill Downs Derby week, and he looked really good doing it. And he's run some okay races since then, but he hasn't gotten back to that start. Now, last time out on New Year's Eve, he was close to the pace, pushing the pace. He tired in the stretch. I think he needs to be more tactical in the fact that let the other horses go and do the dirty work, and maybe he makes one run.
Yeah, that's probably a fair way to look at him. I'm with you. He ran okay in the Genesis last time. I didn't see his excuse, Dan, and more than anything else, I'm not sure that I want any of those horses exiting that race who are back in this spot. That race was fine. I don't think it's as tough as some of the horses in this spot. I didn't really want those horses.
That's right. The number 3 showed some high speed in several of his races in 2022, in 2023. He's now a gelding, and that could help this horse because he always seemed to have trouble with his lead changes. He would never change in sort of major races, and that would cost him. But he's won graded stakes races. He's now with Jenna Antonucci, and I just think Jorge Ruiz is ascending.
Just got to come out running here. It is a long layoff, so we'll see, how ready he is for his new trainer, but they've just got to come out, use this horse's speed, try to get to the front, and just see what happens. He was disappointing last year. I'm not going to deny it, but he only made 3 starts as a 4-year-old. They were all fast-paced races against really good horses, and it didn't work out. I think his good race gives him a real shot in here.
Panther Island, the number 4, wasn't ready for this sort of competition in the early part of 2023. The connections put him away, brought him back as a more mature horse, and he has been good. He's won his last 2 races, including this stake on New Year's Eve, where he got a perfect trip. He sat the pocket, the seam opens up, he blasts on through in between and gets it done at 7-1.
It's good. This is a good performance for this horse. He did get a good trip in here, but it's a good race. I like how he comes through between here and gets the job done. There could be a similar trip coming for him in this spot. And I do think he's a contender, Dan. Again, I don't really want any of the Janus horses in this spot, but if I was taking one, I'd take Panther Island. I have really no knocks on this horse.
Hope in Him, like Karatari, will be making his second start off a significant layoff. He showed high speed last time out in a starter allowance race. He got a little bit tired. That race was over the synthetic surface, and it's worth noting, this horse's best races have come on the synth. Maybe he's not as quick on the turf or as good on the turf, and that could work against him because he's already stepping up in class.
Yeah, I agree with all that stuff. I mean, I think you have to be concerned about the surface with this horse. Yes, he has brought his speed to the turf sprints as infrequently as they run him on the surface. He has brought his speed to those races. So I'll assume he's going to bring it here too. I question whether he's good enough.
Although it is difficult to come from far, far behind going 5/8 on the turf at Gulfstream, the 6 Illman might have fallen into a good situation here because there's plenty of speed to set him up. They're going to be going fast, and he comes off a good race. In the Janus, he fell far behind. He came widest, and he trudged on for third. Now he has a race under his belt, second off of a short layoff. Joe Orsino coming off the big win with Hades in the Holy Bowl.
Yep, he did win a 5 furlong turf sprint last year from well off the pace. In general, I hate to take a deep closer in a race like this, even if there's a ton of speed packed on, Dan. I mean, trips are so important in these races, and you just tend not to get really good ones if you're a one-run closer. And it kind of feels like he is. This horse ran fine last time. I still don't. It doesn't make me want to bet him back in this field.
And completing the field is Karatari, who was second in this race last year when it was a Grade 3 event. He hasn't won a race in a year and a half now, and you have to wonder if he's starting to get a little bit long in the tooth. Here's his most recent start. It was a high-level allowance at Gulfstream, and it was his first race in 7 months. But he didn't make the lead. He loomed boldly as the favorite turning into the stretch, and he just couldn't catch this horse. So the question is he as good when he can sit off another horse and finish? If he is, you can make the argument he's the best horse in the field.
I do think he probably is if he's still capable of running at that top level. And the interesting thing about that race, too, that I know it was off a layoff, but he broke very alertly and he made the lead very briefly in there. And he was under a ride, too. It's not like Irad was conceding. That horse to the inside came up and took the lead from this horse and made him chase. And it really worked against him there. That concerns me a little bit. I'm with you. I think he's the best horse in the race. I'll wait and see what kind of price he is before I decide what to do with him.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Gulfstream Park Turf Sprint. You're going with That's Right, despite the layoff. New gelding, new barn, big early speed. I personally think he's the speed of the speed, and he might actually fall through the cracks from a wagering standpoint.
That's one of the things I liked about him, Dan. I thought there was a chance that he winds up actually being a pretty fair price in here. And I just really respect his speed. He's really fast. I want him blasting from the gate in this race.
I wish I had a stronger opinion in this race. I do think Karatari is going to be sharper second off the layoff, but I have a feeling he might be something to 5 in here. And I'm not sure I really want to take him at that price. I do think the 4 is an up-and-comer. Maybe we haven't seen his best, and maybe he can work out that sort of similar trip as last time, where he tucked in behind a fast pace and finished. 3-7-4-1 for Mike, 7-4-6-2 for me, concentrating on the 4 and the 7 in the Gulfstream Park Turf Sprint. Good luck.